Welcome back to part 4 of the Jeweler's Bobbing Compound Refining Series. I would normally pour this in my stock pot directly, but we're going to use a temporary container here. Now we're going to pour off this waste solution. This is our gold that we precipitated. Let's see what we got down at the bottom of this beaker. All the gold that we precipitated out from the bobbing compound. I'm going to put this waste back off here in the back, get it out of the way. And now I've got a smaller beaker. And we're going to transfer the gold into this smaller beaker so that it's easier to work with. I'm going to use hydrochloric acid to rinse it down into this beaker. There's a tiny bit of gold down in the bottom of this one, and we'll get that out of there with a little hot aqua regia and add it to the stock pot. And here's our gold recovery. Can't quite tell how much is down in there. And what we'll do is we'll just let this settle out for a minute and then get in there and pour this waste off. See if we can gauge how much gold we did recover from this Jeweler's bobbing compound. One thing I should have done before I poured off that waste solution up in this large beaker is test it with stannous, make sure we didn't put any of our gold back in solution from letting it settle overnight. And there you can tell no gold in solution, but I see a hint of orange, which tells me that we have some platinum group metals, possibly, in that waste solution. Now let's do the same test down here in this solution. It's got a little color to it. Let's do a stannous test on that solution that's sitting on the gold. That's just hydrochloric acid that we use to rinse. And it's got some color to it. But I don't really see a whole lot of indication of any precious metals in solution. If you lay it right down here next to the one we took from the big beaker, you can see clearly that there's some platinum in there. But this test that we just did on our beaker with our gold in it has no precious metals. Alright, let's pull down this waste container and we'll pour off this first rinse out of this beaker. Rinse it with a little more hydrochloric acid. And we'll let that settle now. This is settled out now. What we'll do is pour off this hydrochloric acid rinse. Still pulling a little bit of color out of there, as you can see. It's probably from that compound that he uses to buff the jewelry with. Now we're going to rinse it with some water and let it settle for a few seconds. Now let's pour this water off. Here's a look at the pure gold powder that we've recovered down in the bottom of our beaker. Here we go. We're going to add some hydrochloric acid, about 100 milliliters. Let's add some sulfuric acid to this now. We're into the refining phase. We've got the gold recovered. Sulfuric acid. This will precipitate out any lead that may be present. Now we're going to put in a couple shots of nitric to form aqua regia in here. And we're going to dissolve the gold and refine it. We've got this gold to dissolve. It just took a few minutes. Now what we'll do, pull it down off the heat and let it cool down. Whoa, I take that back. There's still some gold in there that has not dissolved. And that's a good sign. That means there's going to be more there than I thought. Let's put it back up on the heat. Alright, we're going to add some more nitric acid. Maybe about 1.5 milliliters. Just add it in real slow because this is real hot. And it's going to want to flare up big time. I've got all the gold to go into solution. I've evaporated it down to a syrup to drive off any excess nitric that we may have had in here. And now what we're going to do is add some ice. Cool this down. Oh boy. You can see we've got a lot of silver chloride in here. It's real cloudy. Let's add a filter paper to our funnel. Now we'll filter our gold gold solution. Let's see if we can get this silver chloride out of here. This is pulling through pretty good, but I expect it to slow way down once that filter paper gets loaded up with junk. Somebody requested that I leave these rinses into the beaker, or I mean into the funnel out of the beaker. Somebody likes watching me do this, I guess. It's cool. Try to please my viewers as much as I can. Here you can see we've removed quite a bit of junk from our solution. So what we'll do now, I'm fairly certain we're gonna have to pour this solution back through the same filter paper. See how cloudy it is still. Plus it's got a little bit of a red tint to it. That's probably some of the jeweler's polishing compound that's following the gold. The second pass through the same filter. Now that the filter is loaded up, is really clearing up our solution for us. This always works out pretty good. Second pass through the same filter. Solution looks much clearer now. Got all the cloudiness filtered out. Filtered it. This precipitation should be fairly spectacular. Let's get this off. To another container out of the way here. Now we'll add our solution to this clean beaker. Here we go. Nice and clear. It does have a little bit of red tint to it. It's a little off color for chloroauric acid, but I think we'll be able to live with this. Alright, let's see here. Let's get a close-up on this. We're going to add some sodium metabisulfite in here and precipitate out the gold. You should be able to see it very clearly on this precipitation. Huh. This will be 4 spoons. This should do it. This has been allowed to settle for about a half an hour. I'm going to reach in here and get a little on the filtered paper. And let's do a stannous test just to verify that we've got all the gold precipitated out of there. As you can see by that negative stannous test, all the gold has precipitated out. Now if you look in there, it's kind of suspended a little bit. The particles of gold have suspended in our solution. I think it may be due to some air bubbles that are in there. I've got a decent amount of gold in there, but we're gonna have to let this settle completely. I can't even pour it off because of all the gold that's suspended in our solution. Very strange. You can see we got a decent amount of gold in there. I think what we'll try to do here is put it up on some heat and see if we can get this to settle out. This has been on boiling for about 5 minutes, maybe 7-10 minutes, something like that. Let's pull it down off the heat now. We'll let this cool off. Let's see if this will settle out for us. Let's do another quick stannous test. Make sure we didn't put any gold in solution with that boil. We're good. Negative stannous test. I think this boil got the gold to settle. There's still some color in this solution, which means it's probably contamination. Jeweler scrap is like this. It just has stuff in it that continues to follow the gold. But it's not looking too bad down in there for us. Let me give this a rinse with some distilled water. Yeah, it's still suspending a little bit. Let that settle out. Let's pour this rinse off. Still got some junk in it, I can see it. And now what we'll try to do, it's looking pretty good though. It's got a nice color to it. We'll rinse it with a little hydrochloric acid now. Let's pour this hydrochloric acid off of here, and we'll rinse it one more time with some distilled water. Rinse it several more times with distilled water. Starting to clear up and clean up a little bit for us. Here's what it looks like down in there now. Fairly clean. Alright, here we go. We're gonna get the gold into our melt dish. Now let's get the gold down here on the melt table. Melt it up and get us a yield for the jeweler. Here's our little bar of pure gold that we just recovered from the jeweler's bobbing compound. Don't look too bad for a single refining. I was predicting 16 to 18 grams. We got 15.3, and that's only about 2.5% on the yield. So we're a little under on the yield. I may have some still bound up in those solids that I've set aside. And when I get a chance, maybe I'll go through that and see if I can pull some more out of there for him. But for right now, we've got 15.3 grams of pure gold to give back to the jeweler. This will conclude part 4 of the Jeweler's Bobbing Compound Refining series of videos. Thank you for watching.